Freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Oh, Sean Hannity, can't you see that you're not the one for me? Well, they tell me it's that time once again, ladies and gentlemen. Tuesday, March the 17th, 2015, Anti-Media Radio coming at you once again. Brand new week, big day in the world of news that the mainstream media is not really covering correctly as usual. As always, in the studio with our extremely astute and wonderfully personable producer, Mr. Shannon Madden.
Hannity's a bitch.
That's the rumor going around town. So let's go ahead and jump in the news here, and we'll just kind of see the road that it takes us down. Obviously, top story of the day is Benjamin Netanyahu.
That guy. Oh man, he's everywhere. He's universal.
He's something.
Probably gonna again be for the 18th millionth term. Israelis just
It appears nothing's official.
Putin,
Nothing's official yet, but it does appear that Netanyahu will take.
It's a tight race, but I have a feeling. I have a feeling they're going to push him in.
It appears, anyways, it's going to be his fourth term, third consecutively as the prime minister.
Yeah.
A lot of the Zionist Union Party, which is not Netanyahu's party, is still saying it's still too close to call. They're hanging on for hope, but the math just doesn't seem to be. Math doesn't seem to be in their favor right now.
Money doesn't seem to be in their favor, man. If
ironically,
billions and billions he was working with. Come on now.
They had an absolute huge turnout to vote, though. 71.8% of people.
There was a lot of concern in the rhetoric leading up to the actual election about the Arab turnout. There was all about the Arab turnout, and it really is, very indicative of your average American two-party election, where you have the Republican or Democratic candidates saying, "Oh, well, hey, these folks are voting, or these folks are voting, and they're shoring up the vote. We've got to move in."
I tell you what, Shannon. I want to cut you off. Let's jump into the calls early tonight.
Good times.
Area code 920. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. How you doing tonight? Well, that's all right. They decided to hang up. Continue with your point.
Well, the point I was making is that, just looking from afar. I don't live in Israel. I'm not of Jewish descent. I have no people over there. Have no ties to Israel. But just looking from just a far perspective and seeing how they're conducting a lot of the. And it's amazing how American politics has influenced how other countries work the political system,
Well,
and how they've hamstrung their own political
that goes
system
to a
make sure they
point
make
that
money.
they've been sitting here screaming on Fox all night, and they're not giving you the whole truth. Is they keep talking about how Obama has, tried to kind of weasel his way into the election and kind of make it, go for the other side. The fact that they have not mentioned one time, we've mentioned it on the show multiple times over multiple weeks, is that Benjamin Netanyahu, 90% of his campaign finances came from the United States. 90%. They don't tell you that on Fox, but that's, well, Obama's getting involved. Should he be doing that? No, he shouldn't be doing that. But guess what? News should 90% of the funding for Netanyahu be coming from this country.
Doing his job set up by all the puppetry that's put him into play.
Exactly.
To make sure that the American interests are following through.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead and get that straight right now. It's mafioso. Come on now.
Oh, you're more than correct. And, okay, and yet, when we talk about the hypocrisy of these things and what people want to mention and what they don't want to mention, well, we hear about, okay, how ISIS is out there every day. This is another story I wanted to bring up. But we've got ISIS out there, right? And they're beheading people and they're doing all these horrible things. And we don't talk about Saudi Arabia, which we have talked about in great length. I mean, I feel like sometimes like we're just a broken record.
Well, then let's go ahead and dumb it down for some of the dorks out there. And look, before you, and again, caller, hang on for half a second because I have to get this point across. Let's go ahead and put it in Star Wars terms for half a minute. What we have, the rebels, ISIS.
Right.
The rebels are Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, so on and so forth, were actually put into business by Darth Vader. Try that on for size. Kids.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Luke,
that's exactly what we're talking about. Dumb, geeky terms.
It's definitely Luke's father. But area code 920, welcome to the show. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Well, I was till I started listening to you guys. How are you going to call yourself anti-media and then sit and talk politics like we've been fed for fucking years on end? Why? I don't understand.
Yeah. What would you like to talk about?
Well, what you posted on Facebook to make people call in or to tune in was your America, we're wearing green, getting wasted, puking, passing out, all that are encouraged. And I was, of course. Well, I was till I started listening to you guys. One second, I gotta mute you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so you have that on there, and it's like, for one, where is that encouraged? Like, really, by law enforcement, where is that ever encouraged, that behavior? And cannabis getting around, like, the point is, guys, what I'm saying is they want to arrest you for everything. And in the meantime, judges and cops and people that they deem powerful, more powerful than us, are allowed to fucking do some heinous shit. And we sit back and go, well, we're the ones that are breaking the law because we smoke a weed or we get drunk on St. Patrick's Day. It's not.
Well, it looks like we dropped the call, but, I guess that's all right. She seemed pretty deep into a bottle of wine right there. So, technology worked out for the best.
Represent.
It is what it is, but that's all right. If anybody wants to call in and add a valuable point to the show, they're more than welcome to. We've got another caller from area code 508. Welcome to the show. How you doing tonight? Welcome to Anti-Media. How you doing? Area code 317. Welcome to Anti-Media. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good. What would you like to talk about?
I was actually just trying to listen in. This is my first time.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we'll do, Shannon, go ahead and kind of finish with your point, what we were talking about. And then if you'd like to chime in, you're more than welcome to.
Well, I'll be quite frank with you. I mean, again, looking at how the other countries that have done so much business and are receiving so much money from the United States are suddenly emulating what we see in American politics right now.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we're going on about. The Benjamin Netanyahu got up and made this, statement about the Arabs are coming out in force.
Oh, yeah.
And the left-wing governments. And we hear this so much about the right wing and the left wing, and we're supposed to be this wing or we're supposed to be that wing. And it's going on even in Israel.
Well, he came out yesterday, Shannon. He came out yesterday and said that if he is, placed back into office after this entire election's over and his party wins and he's the prime minister again, that, there will be no Palestinian state. Like, he was very firm on that. And
all the Coke machines will be free for 3 weeks. I promise this right now. But I have to be in office to make sure this happens.
Exactly.
We heard this.
Well,
I
will say this. When it comes to
the Obama elections, I mean, both the Obama elections were as close to a high school election as you want to get, as far as I'm going to put new pop machines in the cafeteria. I'm going to make sure that the girls' tampon machine is scented. Right. I'm going to make sure that all the football players, have the special mint scented jock straps.
Right, but see, we're talking about something different here. We're talking about basically Netanyahu promising we're going to exclude these people from being a part of society. We're going to continue to implement this blockade that we have on this group of people. We're basically going to keep them in the largest prison in the planet. Yeah. And we
talking about anything different?
No, we are.
Pop machines.
We're talking about something completely different.
You don't have to drink that crappy juice.
It's completely different. It's completely different. The reason why it's completely different is because when you're talking about when you're talking about Obama and Guantanamo, or you're talking about Obama doing anything, we're sitting here and you talk about these promises these politicians, want to give you or whatever, right? Well, Netanyahu, this is not him saying that's not a promise. He's been there long enough. There's no Palestinian state. He has bombed these people relentlessly, okay? This isn't a promise. It's a threat, and that's what's so terrifying. Area code 317, welcome to Anti-Media Radio. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I just got disconnected, sorry, so I just called back.
Oh, good time.
Yeah, cool. So, let's go ahead and move this over into Saudi Arabia, okay? We've got 48 beheadings just this year alone. 48! Last year, I think, in total.
Now, wait a minute. What month is this?
Yeah, it's the middle of March.
Ooh.
Last year, they had, and last year they had a horrendous human rights record. Okay, absolute horrendous. They had 87 beheadings that were, administered by the state, by the government, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And now we've got King Salman in charge, who's been there since like January 23rd, and we're already up to 48. It's the middle of March. Amnesty International came out and was talking about they're on record to break like all execution records.
Even Texas? Get out of town.
Texas has not killed 48 people.
Since
state-sponsored with a trial
since the 90s,
right? but we're not talking about
says D-Dub,
right? And we're not talking about cops shooting people. We're not talking about any of this. We're talking about somebody's arrested, tried, and here we're going to send you
the guillotine.
Well, yeah, with the sword. And it always amazes me. It's the exact same things that the United States harps and harps and harps about. Iran or Syria, all these things. Saudi Arabia does all those things tenfold. You've got Syria that's fighting against ISIS right now. You've got Iran that's fighting against ISIS right now. And yet you have Saudi Arabia. Just 2 years ago, the head religious leader of Saudi Arabia came out and said that all churches in the entire region should be destroyed. Destroyed. Yeah. That's destruction.
Yeah.
Demolition.
Gone.
All churches. Saudi Arabia. And we're not talking about this is just some guy living in the country. This is a guy that holds like 3 cabinet positions. He's the head religious government leader. And obviously when you're talking Saudi Arabia, the government and religion is tied in.
Absolutely.
They're very intertwined.
Absolutely.
And this guy is saying we should destroy all Christian churches, demolish to the ground. Kuwait jumped kind of in on that. And yet these are our allies. But when Iran is trying to fight ISIS, which, you know, financially, and we can go down that road all night, ISIS, we all know where that came from. ISIS would not exist without the United States intervening whatsoever.
Or they wouldn't be as successful as they are right
Well,
now.
of course
making that
not.
good Hollywood propaganda that they're making without American ingenuity. I mean, come on now. Y'all saw Titanic. You saw the special effects in that.
Right.
Y'all all saw the video of the prisoners being
well. Okay, that goes back.
on the stage.
That leads me to another story I wanted to hit on tonight, and the ISIS statues. ISIS released a video at the end of last month, and it showed them destroying all these ancient artifacts in the museum up there, and they were crushing and smashing them. And the whole world wept. You know, these have been around for years, ancient Mesopotamia.
We saw that 20 years ago in the first Desert Storm campaign.
But
come on now.
Here's the thing. Guess what? All the things that ISIS was smashing were replicas. They weren't the real thing. So we have, you know, the head of the Baghdad Museum.
Because only we, America, is allowed to smash the real things, or at least oversee other people doing it. Yes.
Because, you know,
we saw it on CNN. We saw the statue of Saddam Hussein come down. It really was dramatic. I shed a tear.
But a curator from the Baghdad Museum comes out and says, "Oh no, we've got all the originals here." So they didn't smash anything of relevance. It was just basically a big show. And then you've got another museum curator that's based in London that I guess knew the history of these pieces and saw, you know, the ironwork that had come out after they smashed. He said these original pieces did not have any of that, the structure inside of it. You know, they were just solid.
Yeah.
So he said they're definitely not original. So it's another show of fear by ICE. It's another big grand scheme.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Wait a minute. So are you casting any kind of shadow of doubt that the ISIS warriors set all the Jordanian pilots on fire?
Well, it was the one.
Are you saying that maybe didn't happen?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they're not that the United States is not willing to create its own enemies that are real bad guys for its own gain. I don't know. It's possible that, you know, it's been all recreated and it's all a fabrication. But I think it's just as possible that it is all.
However,
it's all kinds of legitimate.
What you just said, and we've alluded to this. We've kind of danced around the subject, but we have alluded to the fact that when we saw that video, there was a lot to be skeptical about. And now we have
in that one
this
instance,
story.
I agree.
Then we have this story right here.
In that one instance with the pilot, I do agree. But you know, just because you're told some lies don't mean there's not some truth in the mix.
And see, here's the bad part. I've been saying pilots the whole time, thinking about the other video that was the parody video about all of the children that were possibly going to be. And again, we have all of this coming at us all at once from all different sides, speaking all different messages and this, that, and the other. You know, and it gets down to the point where you have to really stop and pay close attention because there's so much information being thrown at you right now. And if you don't pay attention to it, you're going to miss so much. And there's so much in this, you know, veil of confusion that is being cast by so many different sides that don't want you to know the real truth.
Well, exactly. Like
I just illustrated that. I'm sorry, I'm a dumbass.
Well, we're talking about Israel tonight. I mean, I think it's a massive point. And again, I said it earlier, we sound like a broken record sometimes. At least I know I sound like a broken record sometimes. And I try to get certain basic facts that are indisputable facts across to people. 90% of Netanyahu's finances for today's election came from the United States.
Absolutely. And got 50% of the vote. Come on now. Or 50.
Area code 412. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. How you doing tonight?
Always great.
Fantastic. What would you like to talk about?
everything in humanity and people in debt with the bankers and why the world is wrong. How's that for a start?
Hey, do it. Lead us into it.
It's like people don't realize they want the government to change, okay? And it's the bankers who are running the show, not the governments in the world.
Absolutely.
All right, and then what people aren't realizing is that years ago, 150 years ago, they were sitting in the fields picking cotton and handing it to the masters. And nowadays, what they got people doing is sitting in showrooms and school teachers and doing whatever it is. They're handing their interest to bankers, the same as the cotton back in the day. All of humanity is a slave to the bankers. And the bankers, the interested people are in debt, are what's causing the world's problems right now. It's the greed of people buying shit that they can't afford that's the problem in this country.
Well, absolutely. And, you figured 2008 would have been a massive wake-up call for that because, we are right now, at the very least, we're walking on the exact same path we got to with the housing bubble in 2008 with the college loan program. That's going to explode.
Everybody's going to stiff the bill soon. I'm watching it. Everybody that I know, people in the real world, they're $20,000-$30,000 in credit card debt right now and have a car payment or two.
Not
and everybody's tell me that's not the American normal right now. $20,000 credit card debt and a car payment per person living in the household that's over, the age of 20. There's a car there with a payment on it.
The American dream.
That's what, unfortunately, that's what the American dream has turned into. It is to, what we're told growing up is you have to go to college, and that's where it begins. You go to college, and you're going to accrue so many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of debt. You're going to get out of that unless you go into some sort of math and science program. You're going to come out with some liberal arts degree or whatever it is. You're not going to really be prepared to get a job, and you're going to end up working at Starbucks. You're going to already have your debt that you received from getting your education. You're not going to be able to pay it back. So you have to get more loans.
Well,
whatever happened
it's slavery. It's just blind slavery is really what it is. It's invisible to the human because they've been brainwashed, and it doesn't start when you're like in college. It starts at the age of at birth, because what they're doing is they start superimposing the Santa Claus figure, is the way I like to explain it to the idiots that are living mentally ill, walking around in the reality that I'm in. When you look at back and they teach you the story about Santa Claus and he's coming on December 25th and all this stuff, and why, I started asking myself, why? What's all this control bullshit? As I got older, right? So I started looking, and it's the way parents control children's behavior because that's how they were told from back in the day. It has to do with naughty and nice. If you're nice, we can brainwash you and bribe you and get you to do things. And if you're not, you're going to get a lump of coal. And when you get a little older and you figure out this bullshit, then what they superimpose on you is the figure of Jesus. And they tell you that his birthday is December 25th, and that's why the day is that it is, and all this shit. And in all reality, I started looking at it, and you know what? The shortest day of the year is December 21st. It's the day we see the least amount of light because of the tip of the earth. And then 3 days we make a rotation where the sun rises and sets at the same plane on the ecliptic. And on December 25th, the earth finally tips 1 degree north, and daylight grows longer. So December 25th is actually the birth of the sun. Santa never comes, Jesus wasn't born, and it's a bunch of fucking bullshit that's keeping people in a certain state of low vibrational thinking.
You didn't bring up the Easter Bunny. You said nothing about the Easter Bunny and all this, too. The Easter Bunny, come on.
It's the same thing. It's Ishtar. It's a pagan holiday to keep people superimposed. You look at ham and Easter bunnies and eggs and all this bullshit. It's just a way of conditioning and controlling people from the time that they're young and having them corral.
Absolutely. I tell you what, thank you so much for calling in this evening. Great point.
It's a way of controlling your essence, your spirit, your being. Like, what people don't realize is everything in this reality is nothing more than wave fields.
I absolutely agree, man. Thank you so much. Great call. And another thing to kind of, to his point, he was talking about how they try to control you
Absolutely.
And yet he was talking about how the government wants to do this, and then you're trained a certain
well,
way.
they started the public school system. I mean, we
Oh, it
can
does,
start
absolutely.
there, and it branches out.
It's to me, it's ironic though. You talk about the story of Jesus per se, and he touched on that. The irony of that story is it was the powers that be, the system, that led to him being crucified. So it was basically, he had his opinions on that, but you see that story following his own beliefs.
Why is it when people use the story of Jesus, they completely gloss over all of the true core values of what he was actually teaching?
Oh,
I've
I know.
never understood that.
They do, whether you're religious or not religious. So many people look over that.
And again, there's a lot of other people, and we know this from some of the college we've received, that are of other religions, that have other religious beliefs, and I'm not trying to go one way or the other with it, but if you look at the actual ministry of Jesus, the New Testament Christian version of who Jesus was and what he was really talking about it, and go back and read his actual literal words, they have been so twisted and contorted, it's not even funny.
Oh, yeah, well the church has perverted the message.
His basic ministry is so freaking small. It's so small. Love one another like you love me. That's it.
That's it. It's
as long
very
as you
minute.
do that, you're doing a good thing, man.
Yeah.
Just love one another.
Just love. And you know what?
If you don't understand the concept of love, then work on it, man. Keep working on that concept of love.
And to be honest,
that's what we're all about here on this.
That's it. And whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're agnostic, whether you're a
Jewish,
Buddhist, whatever, at the end of the day, it's all about love, and that's why the teachings of Jesus, despite the perverted version that you get on TV and you may have gotten in school or Sunday school or however you grew up and however you heard it, really it was just a message of love.
Absolutely.
And that's what all of us should strive to be, despite our theistic beliefs. The message is love.
Absolutely, and that's what we preached here this whole time, this whole entire broadcast. Because and unfortunately, we're in the position where we have to talk about a lot of hateful things, and sometimes it's really kind of depressing to do this show and to talk about the things we have to. But it is our job. It is necessary for everyone that is listening to our voice to understand the things that are going on, the powers that are working against them. And we've given them that power. We have given them that power. That's what makes me the sickest of all.
Our complacency has handed people that power. But I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump to another call real quick. Area code 203. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. How you doing?
Hello. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
I'm coming on the program today to talk about an initiative by Our America Initiative. It's something run by Gary Johnson, if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, former candidate for president in 2012. Seems like he'll be running again. But he's currently working on a project to sue the Presidential Commission on Debates, which is run by the former DNC and RNC chairmen. And I just want to promote the website of Fundly.com. They're doing, a promotion to raise money for that project right now.
Okay, go spell that out for people so they make sure they understand you, so they know what that website is.
Yeah, you can find the link on ouramericainitiative.com or on Fundly. I think it's called Presidential Debate Commission. Yeah. So, I think it's a pretty important issue, and that's basically my only point.
Fantastic. Well, I very much appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, thanks for doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Hit on Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson has some great points. They say he's going to run again. I'm skeptical. I'm a realist. I would love to live in this fantasy world that would suggest, Gary Johnson had a chance. Intellectually, I think he more than has a chance. I mean, if we're talking about just the last election when he was on the ballot with Obama, Romney, and Johnson, I mean, clearly you're voting for Gary Johnson every time of those three. But, realistically, that goes back. That's not the way the world is, unfortunately.
Well, let's go ahead and take this a step further. That's not the way that American politics works these days. And there's been so much propaganda and so much, subversive, subliminal messages given to you on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, the other various myriad of news sources that you get, not only on cable television, which are force-fed and shoved in your ears all day long, but also what we see on the internet from this side or that side, or this left side or this right-wing conservative side, or so on and so forth.
And I tell you what, I hate to cut you off real quick, but that's something people don't realize that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And I'm not telling you that, to completely believe everything 100% what the anti-media says. We're here to challenge your beliefs and for you to research things further. That being said, there is a lot of government interest involved on the internet that's trying to combat the things that we're doing.
Absolutely, and on both sides.
Right, and we have to fight that established rhetoric and that divisiveness being shoved down your throat.
I mean, let's get down to it. I mean, really, this whole broadcast, everything that we're talking about right now, can be sit and dissected left and right. Well, yeah, he thinks he's a this, that, and the other. He thinks he's a that. Well, he's crazy. He probably thinks the aliens are going to come down and blah, blah, this, and this, that, and the other. And we hear so much of that. And not just us on this broadcast, but moderate America that hasn't picked one side or the other.
I think
why the hell are you supposed to pick one side or the other? That totally defies what the American dream is all about.
It's peer pressure, because let me tell you something. I don't believe this. I know this deep down in me. But the majority of Americans, not only the majority of Americans, but the majority of Britons, the majority of Canadians. Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So forgive me being a moron. But,
yeah,
buddy. But I feel that the majority of the populations, especially of the Western nations, they believe exactly the way we believe. And it's just they want to search the truth. They kind of know these things that are true, and yet society and culture tells them, and it's just rained down upon them, you have to believe this way.
From the moment of their birth, from the moment that they get sent to the first
right. And look at presidential elections, okay? Being in Alabama, or I was in Nashville at the time in 2012, which is basically the same as Alabama and conservative, and in 2008, I was in Seattle, okay? That's a completely different spectrum, completely different side of the country, completely different politics. But you're told, again, in 2008, I was called racist, ridiculous, every name in the book, because of where I lived. You know what? I did not support John McCain whatsoever. I thought he was horrible. I'm still to this day thankful he did not win, because I think we'd probably all
remember the Terminator? Remember that movie, The Terminator?
Right.
Remember the first Terminator was just Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was just a typical robot.
That's kind of
and then they come out with the liquid robot, robot that can slide under doors and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is, so you get this peer pressure when you're up there. They're telling you, oh, you don't support Obama. Well, first off, you must support McCain. That's the first thing out of their mouths when you're up there. And then on the flip side, when you're back down south and you're back in these red states, they say, oh, you don't like Romney? You must love Obama. Automatically. You must love Obama because you don't like people can't comprehend of the 300.
Oh, I dealt with that so much.
They can't comprehend of the 300 million people in this country. They give you two choices. And you're expected.
Folks couldn't understand
to deal with
why I didn't either side with either Mitt Romney Or when they well, you didn't vote for Romney. Okay, yeah, your boy Obama got back, and no, he's not
Right, they have to
either.
rationalize it in their head.
I thought both of the choices were the absolute most
But
worst choices of this country.
But people have to rationalize that in their head. And what they do is they have to say, well, these are the two choices we've been given. These are the rules. Okay, these are the rules. So you need to understand these are your two choices. Okay, so you just need to get all these other things out of your head. This is what you've got. Well, they're both horrible. They both suck. I don't want either one of them, whether it's McCain Obama, Romney Obama, Bush Kerry, whatever. I don't want either one of these people because you know what? They're both put up by the exact same corporations. Their strings are being pulled by the same people. They're two people. They're two people.
Absolutely.
You're telling me out of 300 million, these two people are the people to lead the country. They've been shoved down your throat. And that's the problem with America is that they want to accept, well, these two people, you got to accept one of them. And here is what infuriates me even more is they say, well, if you didn't vote, you don't have a right to complain. Just because I didn't, accept what they're saying is I have to pick one of these two people that I completely disagree with, I don't have a right to complain. No, excuse you. You're the one that doesn't have a right to complain.
So I've never been put in a position that I had to murder somebody, so I can't comment on whether murder's right or wrong. Is that what you're telling me?
Right. That's basically what the argument is.
It's a more extreme example, but it's the same example. It really is if you look at the wording of it.
Right, because you have to.
You didn't murder nobody, so what do you know about what being murdered is wrong?
And then they tell you that, oh, well, you're not a real American. You're not a patriot if you didn't vote. You know what? When somebody gives me an option of somebody to vote for, then I'll line up and vote for them. But the last time I checked, and if anybody out there wants to do the facts on this and prove me wrong, you go right ahead. Every single presidential election in the history of this country has always been won by the person that had the most money behind them.
And now more than ever. And now it's not even presidential elections.
And we're not talking personal finances. Romney was personally worth more than Obama, but we're talking about the machine. Obama had over $1 billion behind his campaign. We're talking about the person with the most money.
That was $1 billion with a B, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about the person with the most money behind the machine that's shoving that person down your throat has always won, always.
Yeah.
And people can't get that through their head. You've all been taken for a ride.
But why would a bunch of people put a bunch of money towards a person being elected to be president? Well, let's go into some of our news stories today. We're not done yet. Come on now.
76,000%.
And we're not, not set. And originally, when we were researching this, of course, the number, it was misread 760%, which is a pretty, wow. That's honestly, no, 76,000%.
It's a story we've got up on the antimedia.org right now. When Nick first sent it to me today for me to read it, I read it as 76%. Like, it took.
I caught the typo.
You did.
Credit on this.
You did. Like, it didn't register with me. Like, it did not register with me that it was 76,000%.
$760 spent. There was a sample of 200 of the largest corporations doing business in America. $760 for every dollar spent on campaign contributions. $760 return. I mean, that's amazing.
It's good business, I guess.
The casinos don't even get that kind of return. Come on, man. And the house always wins. You know that. 76,000%. $760 for every $1 spent in campaign contributions. I'm sorry, y'all. If you're out there listening to me, this is the business to be in.
Well, obviously, being a lobbyist.
If you can look in the mirror at the end of the day.
Well, being a lobbyist is obviously massively, very profitable, I guess.
$760 for every $1 spent? You know how many farmers would kill for that kind of yield? Come on, man.
Now, I am no theologian and I am no scientist. either or. But I will say this, to become a lobbyist.
Drug dealers don't make that kind of return.
Nobody makes that kind of return. Nobody makes that kind of return. But what I'm saying is there like a box somewhere when you sign up to become a lobbyist, like they literally can physically take your soul out and put it in this box for you to do that job? Like, to be 760,000%. Again, to my own dismay and my own discredit here, that I was I read it as 76%. I thought that was ridiculous. Like 76, like that's 760,000%. That's mind blowing. If you don't think that corporations are running this country, and this country in turn runs the world because of their foreign policy, and you don't think this country's been completely hijacked, let's look back at the stuff. Let's look back at the...
And we have people listening right now that are kind of tuning out. Oh, there's a bunch of numbers going on. You really need to pay attention to what we're talking about right now, because this is the core of our whole entire theology, I guess you could say, on this show. This is what we've been preaching about. This is what we're talking about, and this is the core. This is where evil is from. This is the pit of hell.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this: Do you really believe that this country is a democracy? Or do you believe this country's a republic? I understand
76,000%.
I understand what this country was founded on. I get that. And I get the history.
76,000%.
I get the history of everything, and that's fine, and that's neat, and that's great, and that's dandy. But you realize that studies have come out in this country that said we're already operating under an oligarchy system. Okay, so for kids to go into school in first, second, third grade, whenever they start teaching them the very perverted version of history that they receive in school, when they start saying we're a democracy or a republic, guess what? It's not true. It's not true. The country is being run by corporations. 110% fact. The country's been hijacked. The United States has been hijacked. They've been hijacked by money. They've been hijacked by corporations. Now, you can go back to FDR, and you can talk about how they tried to overthrow him with Prescott Bush and that entire group, and Smedley Butler and that entire situation. You can go back to Kennedy. Whenever, I don't know the exact crux of when that situation happened, but I do know in 2015 the transition has taken place, and now it's time to start being honest with ourselves. Because so many people want to live in the past, and they want to live that, and say, well, this is how it was. This is what I was told growing up because, Ronald Reagan or Jimmy Carter or Bill Clinton and things are great. No, it's not. It's 2015. Everything you believe about this country, it's over. It's over. It's gone.
Trickle down economics, trickle down to this, what we're dealing with right now.
And it doesn't, and this is something people need to understand too. It doesn't fall, so many people again go back to the divisiveness and they want to say it was a Republican or it was a Democrat. No, it was the collective. It was the collective of everyone.
Absolutely.
It was
sides of the coin, the whole damn coin.
It was everybody coming together working against you. Because you have to remember that money runs everything in this country. And if you even kind of think that somebody is getting put in office because of something other than finances, you are a complete lunatic.
Or better
you are
yet,
so delusional. You are so delusional if you don't think that money is putting people in positions of power in this country. Now, if money is putting people in positions of power in this country, then guess what? Those people are going to adhere to the people that gave them the money. They're going to do their bidding for them. They're not going to do your bidding. They don't care about you. They're going to care about the people that put them there.
Even though technically you put them in office, technically.
No. Technically, none of that happened. Technically, nobody put anybody in office. The money put these people in office. And that's something people need to understand. Finances put these people in office. You all got taken for a ride. I got taken for a ride. Your parents got taken for a ride. We all did. It happens to this day. You can, everybody complains about Fox News. Well, of course Fox News is a joke, but you can turn on MSNBC and see the Democratic Party bought that channel just like the Republican Party bought Fox News. It's all ridiculous rhetoric. Nobody understands that the root of all evil truly is money. And if money's running this country, then the root of evil is running this country. People need to get over, well, God bless America, this and that and the other. You know what? Believe in God. You should. But you know what? This has nothing to do with what's inside of you and your personal beliefs. The country's been hijacked. The government's been overthrown a long time ago. This has nothing to do with you or your neighbor, because you and your neighbor have no decision-making abilities. Zero. Until you collectivize, you get together, you go stand on the lawn of the White House and say, we're done. Until that happens, you have no power. You're being told what to believe. Because how many people out there in 2008 really would preferred Hillary to win? But you know what? Obama was shoved down your throat because of finances. How many people out there that didn't like Obama and didn't like Romney may have picked Ron Paul, or maybe have picked Newt Gingrich, or God forbid anybody out there listening like Rick Santorum. But you had other options of somebody you wanted to vote for, but you were told you had to vote for Mitt Romney. You were told. That's your choice. And this didn't happen, at the end of the election cycle. We were told that on day one. Santorum wins a primary. Ron Paul, we all know, won and made him know it was stripped from him. Gingrich won a primary. Hillary won primaries. But you know what? At the end of the day, they always told you, well, Romney's going to win anyway. Romney's going to win anyway. So it's okay. This is all cute, but Romney's going to win anyway. And people still believe that these people that shove that rhetoric down their throat are telling them anything other than propaganda. It's absolutely asinine. People would believe anything that these people are telling them on their television. I don't care what channel it is. It's always the same story. It's always the same coin. It may be a different side of the coin, and they're trying to lead you down your own path, but it's always exactly the same thing. So, what do? Do you keep adhering to the finances? Do you keep adhering to the money? We can't. We have to wake up as a society, as a civilization, as a culture, and realize, and we all know this inside. That's the thing. We all know this deep down inside, and we let the peer pressure come in and take us over and say, well, we have to choose this belief or that belief, and we have to pick this and we have to pick that, because we don't want to seem weird. We don't want to seem like we're crazy, because you know what? If somebody comes to you and says, you know what? There wasn't a plane at the Pentagon. That's aliens. You believe in aliens? You're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a nut job. You're this. You're that. You want to overthrow the government. You're today. You're all these crazy things, but they try to tie it in. You know what? Still, to this day, no evidence of a plane at the Pentagon. Period. Not saying it didn't happen, but I know for a fact, with my own eyes, never seen it. No evidence of it. But they tie in something.
I mean, there was a lot of footage about the aftermath because the plane was
and none of the
destroyed.
aftermath. But I don't want to get into that conversation because that's something I can go on about all night. But what I'm saying is they want to tie something in that's just a question. That's just a question. Hey, can you please explain to me why there's no plane there? Can you please explain to me, the science of why there's no wings on the side of the building? Because there's a lot of questions, and people hear a question, a legitimate question, and they go, aliens, crazy, conspiracy, nut job, and everything you believe is thrown out. That's what they did to Ron Paul. That's what they are going to probably try to do with Rand Paul, maybe, unless he sells out. I don't know about him.
Well, Rand Paul,
that's
a
whole,
little softer,
Well, he's definitely not his dad, but I'm not even close. Still can't figure him out. He what he's doing with Cory Booker right now and Kristen Gillibrand in New York, as far as federally legalizing medical marijuana, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, but at the same time,
he signed the letter with Tom Cotton.
So, I mean, here we are. We can go ahead and get a completely ripped up drunk right now and go out and smash it on the side of a building. Meanwhile, marijuana is still a Schedule 1 classified drug. That's where we're at.
I know, and that's
another episode. But at the same time, though, Rand Paul is running as a Republican. Sorry, it ain't gonna happen.
Well, you have to remember, and listen,
ain't gonna happen. He's trying to get and all he's trying to do is get their campaign money, just like his dad.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
In.
Well, I don't know. But I tell you what, area code 949. Before we end the show tonight, welcome to Anti-Media Radio. How you doing?
What up?
Hello?
Hey, how are you doing tonight?
Hi. Oh, I didn't know that this was. So, I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. What would you like to talk about?
I don't know. I'm really high right now.
Well, fair enough.
Well, let's talk about it then. What's on your mind? Something prompted you to call. What was it?
Oh, wow. Sorry about that. Yeah, if you want to call back in, you're more than welcome to. Looks like the technology. Yeah. But speaking of technology, do you think that these corporations and these technology corporations and their finances aren't pushing Google? Look at Google. Look at everything Snowden said. Have you seen Citizen 4 yet? Oh, man.
Oh.
Good gosh, this could be the whole show. Have you seen Citizen 4 yet?
I personally have not. I've heard a lot of anecdotes about it, and
well, I'm not going to talk about anecdotes. I didn't see it in the timely fashion that I should have, but now that I've seen it repeatedly, I don't even know what to say. I don't even really have any words for that movie. You can see the fear in Edward Snowden's eyes, and it makes you, and you can see how gentle he was with the information that he had, that he genuinely did not want to put people in harm's way, and he went out of his way not to do that. But at the same time, he knew that he had punched King Kong Bundy right in the stomach, and the pants were coming down.
Yeah.
And he knew they had the power to kill him. I highly suggest, every American in this country watch Citizen 4 as soon as possible because of the historic significance. They're in the room with Snowden before any of the information was released. When he's sitting in the hotel room in Hong Kong, nobody knows who he is. Greenwald shows up for the first time. They meet for the first time. It goes to explain, first off, what a monster the government is and what a machine is on top of everything. They're listening to everything. They're listening to everything you do, every form of communication.
The NSA, yes.
It's not just the NSA. It's every aspect of our government. They believe, and this is the real...
Well, the NSA is the official place where all of that
it is, but so much of it's
pontificated upon.
Right, but some of it's outsourced, yada, yada. Here's the thing that just blows my mind, especially about people in the United States. Of course, being in the South, you get Christians and you get a lot of people that believe in God. Well, guess what? The government believes they are God.
Absolutely.
They believe it. They believe they can hear everything you do. We will see everything you do. Those cell phones that everybody's got, guess what? They can be turned on. You can think they're turned off. They can turn them on. They can listen to everything.
Only way you can turn your cell phone off is take the battery out. That's it.
Right. They can.
If you don't take the battery out, then you are subject to surveillance at
any moment. And that sounds crazy to people, but guess what? It's not. Government thinks they're God. And it's amazing to me that so many people claim they believe in God and that I'm a Christian, and, thou shalt not put any other gods before me, but you better believe in the government. God bless America. Let's salute that flag. Let's have that idol in front of me. Hypocritical. People need to get their priorities straight. They need to get their priorities straight right now because they don't know what they believe in. They think they believe in something. They think they believe in something, and they don't believe in anything. They believe in what they've been told their entire life. They sit there and they watch Sean Hannity and his plastic haircut, and they want to salute him and say, Chris Kyle, congratulations, we're all great, we're all Christians, we're going to go mass murder a bunch of Palestinians. By the way, Bethlehem is in Gaza, where Benjamin Netanyahu just bombed the crap out of last fall. Bethlehem, does that mean anything to anybody?
Whoa. Gaza belongs to Israel, which has been a country since what, the 50s? Oh, never mind.
40s. But that's completely irrelevant. Why are people going around wanting to kill each other? And they're promoting it. They're cheerleaders for death. Christians are cheerleaders for death. It's insane.
Particularly here where we live in a red state, and the red states that a lot of our listeners are listening in right now. The people that are like, man, I've been hearing all this crap and everybody tells me I need to be this, and these other weird people that everybody tells me are weird tell me I need to be that, and I can't figure out which one or this, that, and the other. Why do you have to be either one at all? Why can't you just be yourselves?
Stop being influenced by the outside pressure.
Absolutely.
Guess what? ISIS is not coming to kill you. ISIS is not taking away your freedoms. ISIS is not at the airport groping your children. ISIS did not destroy the Fourth Amendment and is spying in your homes. ISIS did not destroy the First Amendment. ISIS is not on the streets of Ferguson shooting your sons and daughters. ISIS is not in the streets of New York choking out Eric Garner. ISIS is not in Deltona, Florida shooting Derek Cruz in the face. Guess what? It was the United States government. They are not God.
Yeah, ISIS is damn sure not in the White House. Try that on for size. The White House is filled with ISIS all day long because that's where ISIS was born. Ask them.
Well, I will say this. I don't think ISIS was actually born in the White House because I don't think anybody in the White House.
You don't think?
The White House is a temp job. The people with the real power in it in Langley, Virginia.
ISIS was created by the White House. We started this broadcast out with that. ISIS, and I'm not saying that these people have their own ideals and their own situation.
You have to
just like we, the people that are talking about this and listening to this broadcast, they were also influenced by the United States government to do the United States government's evil bidding.
But you have to remember, too, that the people in the White House, which this is a whole different conversation I'm not going to get into, but let's just take it at face value.
And do your research.
It's a temp job. It's a temp job.
Absolutely.
The people with real power, the people that are there year after year after year after year, president after president, administration after administration, those are the people pulling the strings. They're in Langley, Virginia. They're in the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover was head of the FBI for years. He was powerful than more presidents.
So we're talking about people that have more than 2 terms, right?
That's correct.
The people
that are not elected.
Are you suggesting
these people are not elected?
Wait a minute. Whoa.
And money puts them there, which goes back to what we talked about earlier. These people want to achieve power. They do it by any means necessary.
And get to hang out there as long as they want to. There is no term.
Look at what's going on in England right now. There's this huge pedophile stuff out in the open that turns out, whoops, we've been covering it up all these years. Margaret Thatcher knew some stuff, but, Margaret Thatcher was next to Reagan, wasn't she? She was great. She could do no wrong.
Absolutely.
She's covered up for pedophiles. Pedophiles. People that want to strive and achieve for that level of power and do it for their entire life. There's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with it. Well, thank you so much. Join Nick tomorrow night on Anti-Media, and we will see you again Thursday. Anti-Media out.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.